Amanda Haller says I am the yellow alpha, and how right she is. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Differently Wired show. It's good to see you all again. My name is Max Derrat, and this year's E3 sucked. I know that has nothing to do with what we talk about at the show, and neither does John know exactly what an E3 is. And speaking of John, I don't. That sounded better in my head. My co-host, as always, John Tucker. How you doing, John?
I'm doing wonderfully well, thank you, on this fine and sunny day on the south coast of Canada.
Yes, as south as we can be, we
That's
the
true.
north. That was my small plug there for the Raptors. I don't watch sports. Yeah, John, you don't know what E3 is, do you?
I don't know, is it part of a kumquat or something? Not sure.
What the? What's a kumquat? I never heard that
It's a
word.
little, it's a little tiny baby orange that they put in juice. You get it in bottles and so on.
I'm surprised that that's where your mind first went to. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kumquats, Maggie. It's the day of kumquats.
okay, I mean, like vitamin C and all that. It's all good. Just
It's vegetables and fruits differently wired.
okay. Hey, before we move on, John, is a tomato a vegetable or a fruit?
Uh, Fruit.
Is it? Oh, okay. All right. I trust you. I trust your infinitely superior knowledge. Anyways, yeah, I'll tell you what E3 is later. It's not that important. Listen, guys, it's good to see you all again. Let me just open up. I want to see all you beautiful people in the chat. Let me just bring this up on OBS. There we go. Hello, Emerald Queen. Hello, Joshua Boardman. Hello, Shy Violet. Stephen H. Stephen H says, I really like what Max is doing here. Well, I really like the fact that you're here, Stephen. It's good to see you. Happiny, Bubbles, Inkwell Productions, Necrotoxin, Holobrine. Good to see you all. Some of you are going to be a part of the Colin. Oh, well, one of you is going to be a part of the Colin segment in a few, about 20 minutes. But before we get to that, gotta do the usual stuff first. Facebook page. I know there are some of you watching this that haven't liked their Facebook page and have a Facebook page of them for themselves. If that's the case, why haven't you liked us? It's free. It's not going to hurt you. There's a link in the description box below. Just go ahead there and like it. It helps us out a lot. And also, Discord server. I know I keep saying this every week, but I really need to put more pictures in here of how healthy and welcoming and kind everybody is. Just examples from our Discord server, how much I love every single one of you, and the support that you give to everybody that joins there. If you're on the autism spectrum or if you have mental health problems and you're looking for some form of community support, I'm sure that you'll find it here. Everybody that's come into the Discord server so far has found it to be a very welcoming and kind and calm place to sort of escape from the craziness of everyday life. I'm sure that a lot of people that are watching the show right now and they're in the live chat will vouch. So if you want to be a part of that Discord server and you have a Discord account yourself, all you have to do is click on the link in the description box below. You can be a part of our ever-growing community. With that out of the way, let's jump into our main topic. Myths about autism. So this one sort of came to me when I was just researching different topics that we could do. And what I found when I just did a cursory Google search this morning, well, actually, no, not this morning, yesterday, it's just how much misunderstanding there is about what autism is. And I figured it might make for a good subject. John, like before, I have a list here of a few things that people seem to misunderstand when it comes to autism. But just as somebody who's dealt with several people that have autism, can you maybe think of one or two things that parents or friends or coworkers or whatever might misunderstand most about being on the spectrum?
Yeah, actually, something pops to mind when you said parents. Um, I've noticed there's a couple of myths about autism, and a part of this comes from autismspeaks.org, but it also comes in my practice. Parents are often nervous that you'll blame them for autism. They are very careful because parents are that they might have had something to do with it. So that, no, it's not my fault. Well, it isn't actually their fault. But what can be their fault is if they don't welcome the person as a person and focus a lot of negative attention on certain traits that a person with autism can't help. So, for instance, if you think, oh, we can just cure autism by trying harder, by knuckling under, by looking you in the eye, by a whole pile of things, yes, that can create a problem in families. But parents don't cause autism. But parents can certainly help a person with autism if they are gentle and welcoming and understanding and treat that person like a person. And the autism is a piece of that. It's just a thing. The other piece, though, that parents or others can impact greatly on is the comorbid or co-occurring conditions. A person with autism can stub their toe, they can have epilepsy, they can have food sensitivities, they can get a cold. There's a full range of things that they can have. And they're not all necessarily related to autism. But
Hmm.
one package of things is those things that are caused by the way the world treats you. This is a common theme I have. But if you're autistic and you don't look people in the eye and they get mad at you and say you can't have this job because you don't look me in the eye, that has an impact on the person. So yeah, that kind of stuff really matters. So it's misunderstanding around autism is very important. But cracking up the myth is a great idea.
Yeah, why do you think it is though that especially parents they're so there's such a tendency for a lot of them to attribute any misbehaviors, quote unquote misbehaviors that we have to something else rather than autism.
Well, there's something very fundamental about being a parent, and that is it's your company, it's your family. This person belongs to you, and you're associated with this person, so you kind of want to put your best foot forward. Now, if a person blurts stuff out or does something that embarrasses you, you feel embarrassed for you. So it's kind of a basic thing. If you have a child who's rough and mean, that reflects on you.
Hmm.
So you don't want the child to be rough and mean. So if a person has autistic traits that the parent feels concerned or embarrassed or something about, it kind of reflects on them. So something kind of rudimentary and self-protective about some of this stuff. So
Yeah.
if your kid's a bully, you're embarrassed.
Hmm. Yeah, you don't want to
You
be
don't
seen
feel
as
good
a
about
bad
that.
parent.
That's right, and so there's always a kind of a reflection on me of this behavior. Come on, put your best foot forward. I want you to be a winner. I want you to be this. I want you to be that. So it's kind of complicated for parents, even with the best of intentions. They want their kid to do well. They want their kid to, to graduate from stuff, and they want them to be successful. And anything that threatens that sense of their success and well-being, of course, makes parents nervous. So they can get nervous really early in your life
Hmm.
about these things.
Yeah, it's kind of perverse too because evidently what's going to happen when people are getting diagnosed for being on the spectrum is that there will be misdiagnosis, and that will be on account of misdiagnosing somebody's actually legitimately poor behavior as being due to autism. And what certain people will
Hmm.
do if they don't want to come to terms with the reality of autism is use those examples as exemplary of the entire phenomenon, saying, oh no, you don't have autism, you are incapable of dealing with the realities of life and you want to remain as a child for the rest of your life. And that's something that oh my gosh, I've seen that constantly in all, well, not all of them, but in the more popular videos that I've done on Asperger's and autism, where people will come
Hmm.
into my comment sections and say, oh no, you're just doing this because you want to remain a child for the rest of your life. You lack the emotional and intellectual capability. And some people go so far as to say, like, because they don't want to accept the fact that autism is a real thing, um, or that autism is a spectrum. Rather, you're either like full on
Hmm.
autistic or you're not. That they will just say, oh well, it would just be best if you either get to be more like us, like neurotypicals, or you just
Hmm.
you know screw yourself over.
Well, you just also mentioned emotion, and that can create problems too because there's a kind of a myth around folks who are differently wired not being emotional
Mm.
because they don't show emotional affect. Like they seem kind of um, stony faced sometimes, not all people, some of them, but some of my clients are, they don't show a lot of emotion. So that's misread as they're having no emotion. Of course, they can be very emotion full, but it doesn't show the same way. So it's misjudged, misunderstood. Um, so,
Yeah, it's that's actually oddly enough another thing that's on my list. It's the fact that people tend to think that those who are on the spectrum don't have the capacity to feel or the capacity to show emotions, which implies a lack of emotion, right? It's actually not true.
Mm. No, it's
It's
not true.
rather, well, at least for me, and I see this a lot with other people, especially in my Discord or other people that I talk to online. It's not that they don't feel; it's just that their emotions tend to come out in extremes. So you're either extremely stoic or seemingly stoic, you're not displaying emotion, or when emotion does come out, it usually is triggered by some sort of sensory problem, and then it all just rushes forward like a beast from the ether, right? So
Mm.
but really, it's because we have been wired in such a way where we tend to focus more so on intellectual or pursuits or pursuits of knowledge and wisdom rather than pursuit of developing our social skills. It tends to out create an unbalance between the two, and as a result, we don't really know how to present our emotions on our face unless it's from like an extreme emotion, like you see something funny and then you laugh, right?
Mm. Mm.
But in reality, on the inside, we're feeling everything all the time. In fact, we might be feeling so much that we don't really know how to. This is actually just a thought that came to me. We might be feeling so much at once inside our brain that we can't adequately express it physically.
There's a great deal of emotional overload that goes on. Many years ago, when I was in the Navy, we used computers to communicate. Not computers, but computer like big radios with a volume button, a channel button, and a gain button. And we had to have the volume just right. You had to be on the right channel, but you also had to be careful to turn down the gain button so there wasn't too much information coming out.
Mm.
Too much information is a blur. And I always think of this example when I think of folks that are differently wired. They actually hear a lot. A lot of things come into their senses, not just hearing, but from other sources. So it's kind of overwhelming just to walk into a room with people and lights and noise and traffic. So turning down the gain is very difficult for differently wired folks. They need ways of avoiding to be overstimulated. So it's an interesting problem.
I love that analogy actually, and it especially appeals to me because I actually went to school for audio engineering. Um, one
Hmm.
like the way that you described the whole gain thing. Imagine this: you're at an audio console, right? And gain, for people who don't know, is essentially what turns up, in the most basic of terms, it turns up the volume of a particular sound. And if you turn up the gain too much, it distorts the signal, and then basically all that you get is a whole bunch of really, really loud, unintelligible noises. Now,
Hmm.
what you can do, you can have a button that turns off the gain and turns on the gain. Now, if you turn off the gain, there's still that noise going on. It's just there's no outlet for it. And it's essentially silence, even though there's a whole bunch of things going on beneath the surface. That's one good way of looking at certain people with autism. Yeah, I think that example applies to me because there's a whole bunch of things going on in my brain on a minute to minute basis every day that I wake up and every day that I go to sleep. But at sometimes, if you like, depending on how well you regulate your emotions, you can just turn the gain, like you can turn the thing that turns the gain button. Uh, sorry, I'm stepping over my words. You can press a button that toggles the gain, and then all of a sudden, all those emotions that you have welled up within can burst forward. Now, obviously, it's a little bit difficult. It's a little bit. It's a little bit of a shaky analogy, but like I got the basics right because there's a difference between controlling something that's electronic and actually controlling human emotions. But I got the gist of it right.
There is a way to work on this, whether you're differently wired or you're not, or if you're in a communication situation of any kind. And that is simply to, um, when you want someone's attention, to say, hello, Max, and then wait until Max says, yes, I'm listening. You can always create problems for people who are differently wired by saying, Max, I want you to take out the garbage and remember the carnation milk and get the car. It needs to be filled up with gas and don't forget your homework. You always got, and by that time, you're just so overwhelmed with all the things that are part of each of those words that you can't really hear it. So a good way of speaking to one another, and this, by the way, applies to everyone that I can think of. If you want to talk to somebody, first make sure you have their attention. How do you do that? Go up to them, not from the next room. Go up to the person, say their name, and when you know you have their attention, then talk your message. Most of us don't do that. We blurt out a pile of crap and people are overwhelmed all the time and they fight with each other and it's a mistake. They didn't mean it, right? So when you want to talk to someone, get their attention. So if somebody called you, and if you have your gain rolling and rolling and rolling and you're thinking about a lot of things at once, if somebody mumbles something behind you, you don't know what they say, you need to clear some of that away, turn to them, and be a little mindful about how you communicate. I think that would be very helpful in ways of communicating with one another.
So basically, what you're saying is catastrophism. Oh, yes or no, John?
Yes and no.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll take that as an answer. Anyways, I do have a couple of other things on this list, but I know there are people that are in just in the queue waiting to be a part of the call-in segment. We'll get to that in a second. Maybe they have something to say about myths regarding autism that they want to bring up. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge the fact that Joel Weiss, who actually I think is the same Joel that's in the queue, just sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Joel. He says, going strong to keep the show going. And then Hollabreen and Joshua Boardman below say, got to get them gains, all the gains. All kinds of gains. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you so much, Joel, for sending that in. Anyways, with that all out of the way, let me just bring up this other graphic. So, because we have a lot of people in the queue wanting to talk to John and I, we're going to skip past the mailbag section for now. Maybe we'll have time for it at the end of the show. But for now, we're going to be taking your calls. Now, if you want to be a part of the call-in segment of the show, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is go into the Discord server that we have set up. And to get there, you just, like I said at the beginning, go into the description box, click on the link there, and you can be a part of it. And then once you're there, all you have to do is scroll down the text boxes. So I'll bring up a picture of the Discord so you guys can see what I'm talking about. If you look on the left, you'll see all these text servers, right? Like at the top, you'll see arrivals, the Constitution, video alerts. If you scroll down, you'll eventually see a text chat that says call and sign up. And all you have to do to talk to John and I is just go into the Discord server, go into that text chat, and put your name there. And then you'll be in the queue to talk to us. Very, very simple, right? Anyways, with that out of the way, I'm going to hop over to Discord and start unmuting people one by one. And today we are going to be starting with Hollabreen. Hollabreen, what's happening, player?
Hello, I'm doing very well.
Good to have you back on again, dude. I missed you. What'd you want to talk about?
Oh, well, a lot of things. I don't know if I'll get to talk about all of them today. I guess first of all, that I think a better analogy for the getting overwhelmed, it's like those, now when you're a little kid and you go to the beach, you build those like small dams to like hold back ponds or something.
Sure.
So that's like you build up a dam and you're holding back your emotions, but then a wave comes in and it doesn't really change much, but then another one comes in and another one comes in and another one comes in, and eventually the dam falls down.
Yeah, that's actually a better way of putting it for people that are sort of on the route to trying to keep control of their emotions, I suppose. Like for me, I like to think that I have a better control of it, especially when I'm around other people. But you're right. Like the majority of people are constantly trying to put up barricades to prevent that overload and how it compromises their being. So yeah, I agree.
Okay, so the actual thing I wanted to talk about. So currently I'm in this summer program at my college because my college has an entire department about it's like the spectrum support program. So it's for differently wired people.
Okay.
And another thing they have, I'm not sure if it's under that program or if it's something else, but they have a neurodiversity hiring initiative, and they're running this what they call a career ready boot camp, which is what I'm in right now.
Oh, good.
it's a 3-week program, and I'm actually exactly halfway through it at the moment.
And how's it going?
It's going really well. So I wanted to talk about one of the things we did. One of the professors on campus, Dr. Thomas Kinsman, walked us through an activity on how to explain neurodiversity and how it can be beneficial to employers. So this activity, he came in with these puzzles that had they just looked like noisy rainbow patterns that you kind of can't really tell what's going on. There's no right side up or upside down.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also had these colored, almost like safety glasses, but the lenses were colored. So we'd solve the puzzle in groups, and each one of us in the group would wear a different color of safety goggles. So we'd see a different pattern in the puzzle. So we had to put the puzzle together, each of us seeing a different pattern. Most of the groups didn't get to do it, or they didn't finish the puzzle in time, but my group actually did. And then we did it again. Oh yeah, the first time we did it, we weren't allowed to talk. That's important.
Right.
So then the second time we did it, we were allowed to talk, and it was a little bit easier. And then we sort of walked through the analogy and the metaphor that is representing, which is the neurodiverse people see things through a different lens. And one of the things he explained is if you're just looking at the entire puzzle with all the rainbow noise, it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on, and it's kind of, you could call it overwhelming to your vision. But when you wear the safety glasses, a lot of the noise goes away, and you can see a clear pattern that you can focus on. And then when everyone else sees a different pattern, it's actually maybe easier to solve the puzzle that way than everyone seeing the rainbow cluster of noise. So sort of the idea is when you hire neurodiverse people who see life through a different lens, then it's easier to solve problems.
That's actually a really fantastic way of looking at it. I also like how it's sort of putting people together to sort of help one another, recognizing how people with certain cerebral makeups can be more attuned to certain tasks, and by helping one another out, it helps the people that are struggling to be able to move beyond a present task, so that in the future they might be able to help somebody else that struggles with a different task by using their own personal strengths. So it's like helping hands, right? Like one person pulls you up, next challenge, the other person pulls you up, and vice versa. Like that's sort of what they're going for, right? Like I understood that correctly?
Yeah, you could call it, it's a mutual benefit.
Yeah. Do you know who the person is that came up with that? Because I kind of like to look more at that experiment and sort of do a video on it.
Yeah, Dr. Thomas Kinsman. He's a computer science professor at RIT, which is the college I go to.
RIT?
RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology.
And what's it? How do you spell his last name?
Kinsman.
Kinsman. Okay, got it. So I got to take a look at that and see if I can bring up a graphic on it next week and maybe do a video on it, because that's actually a really fascinating way of looking at it. It might be something good to incorporate into sort of the videos that I do in educating people about autism. John, have you ever heard about something like this?
No, I haven't. It sounds quite interesting. It does a lot of things. It brings in teamwork. It brings in issues around diversity, and it shows you various kinds of challenges that people face, and you're with people who learn to develop shared understanding. So there's a whole pile of things being touched on with that work.
Mm.
So it certainly looks like I'm going to look into that myself.
Yeah. So Thomas Kinsman. D- uh, Unfortunately, we're gonna have to let you go in a second, dude, because like I said at the beginning, we want to give people equal time. But is there anything else you wanted to say before we let you go?
Uh, yeah, I guess I can make this thing kind of quick.
Okay.
I watch this YouTuber, Three Blue One Brown. He makes phenomenal math videos, and
Free.
he
What? How do you spell that?
the number three, blue, one brown.
Oh, okay, cool.
He makes really great math videos, and I've been in this Discord server for well, he makes. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. He makes his own animation software. He codes it himself, and there's a bit of a community that's developed around it to like clean up the code and make it more friendly to other people who want to use that software to make animations for their own videos. So I've been in the Discord for that community, and just today, like just a few hours ago, literally, um, Three Blue and Brown joined the Discord, and the whole server was pretty excited that he was there. But he eventually mentioned some things he wanted to see with Manum, and then he said wanted to, if anyone was looking for contract work, then he could discuss things further, which that's just perfect for me because I'm a software engineering major and my family is basically going to hound me about getting a summer job after I'm done with this 3-week program and the vacation we're doing right after that, but that's not important. They're going to pressure me to get a summer job, and this opportunity with this YouTuber I really like just fell in my lap.
Nice. Yeah,
It's
I'm
a
looking.
freaking miracle.
Yeah, I was just about to say because like I'm looking at this guy's channel. I never heard of it, but he has 1.8 million subscribers. And if he's about to drop in your Discord server and you got contacted with him, that's great news. And I'm also just a little bit flabbergasted that 1.8 million people would subscribe to a channel where everything that's talked about, based on the playlist I'm looking at, include differential equations, geometry, neural networks. Uh, the
Oh
block.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, it's crazy.
there's a massive educational community on YouTube. There's a channel called Physics Girl. There's a channel called Veritasium.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
There's a there's a whole bunch of there's a big educational community on YouTube, and Three Blue and Brown is seems to be the state of the art math video guy.
Yeah, I should probably look more into channels like these because usually all I do is spend my days watching video game fails. Anyways, that I will look into that. Thanks you so much for bringing that to all of our attention, Holobreen. That's actually really interesting, and I hope you'll come on again in the future and talk more about this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think I will. I hope it works out. I'm kind of ecstatic.
Okay,
You
and
can tell by the way I'm talking.
yeah, I can. Yeah, you sound like you're doing really good, dude. And also, like, make sure when you come back that you tell us how the whole boot camp thing went. Okay.
Yeah, we've done a few other things too, but
Yeah.
that's another can of worms.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Holobrain. We're gonna have to move on. We'll talk to you later. Okay.
Okay, bye.
All right. Thanks so much. All right. Next up, who did we say was going next? It was. Oh yeah, Dave Barker. Dave, you're unmuted. What's happening, player?
Good.
You doing good? I can barely hear you.
Yep. Oh. Am I right now?
Yeah, you sound good now. Everybody can hear him, right? You can hear him, John?
Still a little bit low.
Yeah, it's just a little bit low.
Not sure how to change that.
Can you move closer to your mic?
Not really that kind. Can hear me from where I am.
Here, it's like John. You can barely hear him. What's important is that other people in the chat can hear him. According to OBS,
Um.
it's loud enough
Uh.
so that people can hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, that's much better.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's better.
Okay.
All right. So what's happening, dude?
Well, I've been trying to think of something to ask or say, but I keep forgetting.
It's okay. You've been sending
Oh.
me more. Oh, yep.
So one thing I like to bring up is my friend Senior has this problem where he lacks a sense of smell but still has a sense of taste.
That's. I just try to picture what that would be like. Because even when you're eating something, like when it's in your mouth, there's still a element to the experience of eating something that's involved with smell, right?
Yeah.
But why is it that you wanted to bring that up?
Well, I asked him if there's anything you want me to bring up the show, and he said one thing are things like lacking a sense of smell and still having a sense of taste.
Yeah, that's as far as differently wired things go. I mean, that certainly does fall under the category. It's just unfortunately I don't know how much I can speak to that.
Yeah. So one thing I don't know how is talked enough about is relationships between people with autism going wrong because of their emotional troubles.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been on the end of someone else who has some level of anxiety problem and autism making communication hard, leading to them cutting off communications with me.
Yeah, I feel you there, man.
So I think, and there's also other things where the like people with autism who end up having clashes with me because we have a difference of opinion, and that leads to a lot of bickering.
Oh, sure.
But I'm not sure what I'm actually wanting to say to give a better conversation because I haven't thought of something I'm really interested in talking about yet.
Okay, so let's sort of break down what you had there. So you said that one thing that's sort of been bothering you is how sort of misconceptions about the way that people with autism present themselves, it can sort of lead to a breakdown in relationships, friendly or otherwise, between people that have autism and people who don't. Did I get that right?
Between people who do and do.
Oh, okay. So well, see, unfortunately, because like it is already so well established for people that are on the spectrum, we tend to put a lot of our mental faculties towards anything that isn't social interaction, right? So as a result, when people who are on the spectrum do interact with each other, what's bound to happen is there's bound to be some sort of misunderstanding. And also because of the way that we're wired, because we tend to be a lot more sensitive to our surroundings. If
Plus,
somebody
people already have anxiety disorders.
Exactly. And because of that, it's bound to lead to some sort of blow up at some point between people that are both on the spectrum. What I sort of recommend, if this is happening to you, well, like regularly or not, is that at least what I try to do when I talk to other people that are on the spectrum is that, look, I understand where your head is at. We share essentially the same problems. What I want to do when I talk to you is I want to make sure that we're in a calm space. I don't want to antagonize you. I respect the fact that you have your own beliefs, your own convictions, and I really want to hear about them. And I don't want this to lead to something that we fulminate over for the next few days and sort of ruin our daily
Mercury
activities, right?
fulminates.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it? Because it's an explosive.
Yeah. But yeah, we don't want any explosions going on, right? We already have enough of that going on in our brains on a regular basis. So maybe, like, I don't know, like whoever this person that you're referring to, where you've had these blowups in the past, if it's still possible to maybe talk to
Yeah.
them. Do you think it's possible
Well,
that?
not really. Yeah.
What do you mean?
That it's not possible to talk to them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, in those cases, unfortunately, like I have some of those cases in my
Though
life.
it's not really that I'm that much desiring to,
Mm,
because the thing was, it was mostly a relationship where I was, I understand it that he had a problem and I was trying to be a friend, but me being a bit rude with explaining something that I thought was a problem that he was doing led to him basically having a problem with me.
mm,
But I wasn't really getting much back from him other than him getting rid of me once he decided that I was a bit annoying one time.
yeah. Well, look, there's unfortunately sometimes
So
where.
neurotypical people are a lot worse with that, I think.
Oh, sure. Well, obviously, because they don't have the same experiences that we do. Um,
So I'd say that rather than just being neurotypical versus aneurotypical, it might be some people have a level of sociopathic behavior that they causes them to care more about their short-term emotions than friendships.
mhm. Oh, I I could tell you stories about people like that from my life. So it's kind of scary. Again, like the stuff that you're describing, I can pick out very specific instances from my past where I've gone through blow ups with people who are on the spectrum or not, uh, where stuff like that has happened. What I'd sort of recommend, dude, is like obviously there's going to be times where certain blow ups happen, and there's not much that you can do about it. But what you
Oh,
can sort
actually, one thing I'm interested in talking about is, you know how I think there's a certain level of people who, and this is tying into one thing I thought was a problem with the person I was talking about, is there's a certain level of the more socially isolated you are, the lower down on the social hierarchy you'll see someone as being almost deified, if you know what I mean.
sorry, can you say that again?
The lower you view your own social status as being, the lower the uh, requirement for you to view someone else as being uh,
Oh,
really high on it.
yeah, sure, of course. Like anybody that
So it's
has,
like,
yeah, if you feel like a complete failure at something, obviously anybody that has a modicum of success must seem like a god to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, which is like being like even just someone who's a YouTuber, which obviously isn't really that impressive in terms of like money or social power.
Mm.
But the social isolation and position on its own can make even that seem like a dauntingly higher position, that and your fear of other people makes you afraid to put yourself out with someone you think is higher than you in terms of the social hierarchy,
Hmm. Yeah. Well, obviously.
or even not even higher, that is on a social hierarchy at all, is impressive.
Sure. And do you sort of like do you view yourself as sort of being at the bottom?
I'd say even that's a bit much to say. I'd say I'm outside of it.
Yeah. I well, I certainly empathize with you there, but look, um unfortunately, we're going to have to end the
Yeah.
call in a second, but I don't want to leave you with without some sort of wise words or encouraging words. So, but look, I have something I want to say, but like I really want to bring
Go on.
John in on this because I know he's dealt with
Okay.
people that have been sort of in your situation in the past?
Sure. I don't want to talk a lot about it. I've seen it a lot, and we tend to sell ourselves short in this situation. But if you want to improve relations when this kind of thing seems to be occurring, you can actively seek opportunities to listen more and talk less. I know that sounds very glib and overstated, but listening can help you uh, become more appreciated by the other person,
Yeah.
and can help you avoid some certain conversational traps. So it's kind of like listening, listening with appreciation makes them feel better, no matter who it is.
Yes.
Yeah, like a good example of that might be like I don't know, some girl might have been around a whole bunch of egotistical guys that like to talk over them, and then they don't listen to the girl when they speak back. Or if you reverse the genders, same thing applies. If you come across people like that, if you have the capacity to just sit there and listen and just talk to them, and that is a great value. And just by doing that, you might almost feel so supremely elevated that you might not feel like you were as low as you originally thought you were.
So this is all well and good and all, but this implies that I think you're thinking about this in a different kind of space, because
Okay.
to do that, I first have to be talking to people in the first place before listening or not listening becomes a problem.
Well, I mean, like you're talking to John and I right now, right? You're intelligible.
But
You're listening to what we have to say, and you're being very receptive to it.
other than that, I have very little social interactions.
Sure. Yeah, I understand that. So, like, I suppose what your next goal right now is to figure out ways where you can actually speak to a person one on one. And a great place to start, may I suggest, before we have to sort of move on, is we have a Discord server filled with almost 400 people. And like I've said, the people there are very, very much willing to help and very much willing to talk to you. So,
It's
what
just that I don't really have things to say, but I still feel lonely. I don't want to waste time.
Yeah, no. Like, dude, honestly, like, maybe somebody has something that they want to get off their chest, and maybe if you see that in like the lounge chat or another chat in there, you can be like, "Hey, do you want to talk about it in the voice chat?" And then all you have to do is just like hear them say the thing, and then once they're done talking, say, "Listen, I don't have the best speaking ability, but I really wanted you to get whatever was off your chest, and I'm really glad that you allowed me to listen." And that'd be your
Well,
next
it'd be
step
good if
forward.
someone on the server says that, but well, I'd hope you'd forgive me if I said that I very highly suspect that won't happen.
Well, you never know. I mean, like, you got to start somewhere, right? You got to give it a shot. And look,
Max, the seven cups wouldn't be bad for this sort of situation.
oh yeah, of course.
That would probably work.
Yeah, like, dude, if you're feeling like a great place to go, I'm not sure if you remember us talking about this in the past, but a website called sevencups.com, and what you can do is you can go there, and you can sign up to be a listener. Or you can go there and talk about your problems with a complete random stranger, and the whole point of that website is nobody's going to judge you. The whole purpose, yep,
It's just www.7cups.
.com. Yeah, it's the number 7 and then cups, right? So
Yes.
until we sort of talk again next time, I recommend you go there, check it out, see what it's all about. Maybe you can become a listener, or maybe you just need somebody to talk to. Use that as your starting point to sort of move yourself from the bottom of the social hierarchy, as you say. All right?
Yeah.
All right. Unfortunately, we have to move on. I really wish we can
You can
continue.
mute me now.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk later, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on, dude. Let's see. Who did we say was going next? Oh, yes, the Diamond Clone. Diamond Clone, you're unmuted.
Hello.
What's good, dude?
I lost all my data
Oh,
yesterday.
yeah, dude. We were talking about that. Like, what did you lose?
I lost everything.
Like, what do you mean by everything?
So it was pretty much just factory reset. My computer was just factory reset.
Oh, so what? You lost like all your,
All my Steam games, all my files, all my music, everything.
oh, jeez.
I mean, good thing for cloud saves.
Yes, thank God for the cloud. The one time where that thing actually works for something important. And
'Cause I was trying to set up a. Oh, sorry. You wanted to continue?
no, continue, dude.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to set up a SSD boot drive,
Hmm.
and I was trying to migrate just the OS over, which using what was it? It was Western Digital's data migration software that they have on their website. Because I use Western Digital. I'm not sure if you have that up in Canada land.
Canuckland, as I like to call it.
Land of the Moose. Uh,
A land flowing with maple syrup and socially polite freakishness.
the biggest right in Canadian history. Somebody holding a sign. I'm a little upset.
Exactly. See, there are a bit like stereotypes about people all around the world and the countries they come from. Canada has all the best stereotypes. What's the worst somebody can say about us? So we put a at the end of every sentence, and that we're really nice.
I mean, the stereotypes are fun to make fun of.
Sure, but
So I mean,
yeah,
because it's just child immaturity. That's just a stereotype.
Well, it's okay. In Canada, you knock someone down and they apologize as they get up.
yeah. You get in somebody's way temporarily at the grocery store, and you apologize profusely.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, what do you want to talk about, Diamond Clone? Was it your drive being completely wiped?
No, I was gonna hit a couple things.
Okay.
I was gonna touch on some of the myths. I try to keep on the subject so we can continue talking about it and expand what we're going on.
Okay, cool.
Just a little bit.
Yep.
Like, one of the biggest myths I feel is out there right now is that people with autism are always 100% of the time gifted.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because I mean, it happens it does happen. I will give you that, but it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
And so it just puts like a facade, or not a facade, but like I guess, requirement, or you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
people expect more
Yeah.
out of you, and then because you could just have the normal functionality, or I should say, like, academically and all that kind of stuff as anyone else, but they expect you to be this grandiose, perfect Professor X in the wheelchair.
Well, I mean, like I fit that pretty well, just because I'm
I mean, I excel.
my intelligence is just exceed. Anyways, minus the baldness, and I could read people's minds. Sorry, but you were
Sure
saying.
you're not gonna blow up after inflating your ego that much?
Well, I mean, it's like I'm too sexy for my shirt. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Shoot. So I mean, there's that, because I excelled in school. I mean, my friend with normal autism, he excelled in school, and can you hear me clicking my flash drive?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
It's okay.
And he excelled in school, but there was some other people that were lower functioning, because autism and Asperger's syndrome, I mean, they're not the same, but they are similar.
Yeah, it's important. Like, I'm glad you brought up that distinction. That's one of the benefits of not calling Asperger's syndrome, or acknowledging the existence of Asperger's syndrome, but just essentially calling it autism spectrum disorder, because yeah, just very quickly, because, as you said, it sort of pushes away the notion that everybody who has a syndrome necessarily has all the symptoms that are normally associated with it. When you say that it's a spectrum, you acknowledge that people have a certain amalgamation of certain traits that belong to autism, but that doesn't mean they have all the traits. So, for example, a very common trait that people on the spectrum have is an inability to understand sarcasm. And in case you guys haven't already guessed already, I greatly understand sarcasm, and I'm a great employer of it. But yeah, and as you said, in regards to intelligence, yeah, not everybody on the spectrum has the capacity of a savant. So yeah.
Quick thing for everyone out there who still does not understand sarcasm: surround yourself with sarcastic people. It works.
Well, I'm glad you're doing the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a thing that I wanted to pick up. Brain fart. Wow.
Wow, I could
That's
actually
one of the
hear the
things.
brain fart. I didn't think that was possible.
With me, you never know.
This guy has an overactive imagination. So much so that it's bleeding over into reality.
One of the things that you brought up,
Sorry.
you got me. One of the things I wanted to bring up is like, you were saying something about people in the comments and stuff like that, who were saying like you don't want to stop being a child and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? Well, it's good to be somewhat childish if you get what I'm saying. Like the childlike imagination and childlike wonder to always want to know more, I feel is great for anybody.
Hmm.
'Cause if you have that childlike imagination, you can kind of think of things differently than everyone else. I mean, it goes even if you're a bunch of neurotypicals and you're the only one that has a childlike uh, imagination. You can see things differently. You know?
Yeah, well, I I agree with the general premise of what you're saying. I think what people meant when they say that they want people on the spectrum to stop acting like childs is because they fear that people that are on the spectrum and not doing well are sort of using the diagnosis as an excuse to not accept the responsibilities that come naturally as a part of adulthood, right? So, for example, like unfortunately, a lot of people on the spectrum tend to be either unemployed or underemployed, and that makes it very difficult, especially at a young age, to be able to leave the nest, right? That's something that I've had trouble with a lot. I'm currently trying to look for sustainable work myself, right? And people tend to think that the reason why we're not uh, so easily moving out into the world is because we're using it as an excuse, but in reality, it really is a problem. So while I agree basically with what you're saying, that it's good to have sort of that sense of childlike whimsy, and you can use that as a way of being creative and stuff like that.
But that wasn't their point.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Um, yeah. Well, I mean, one of the biggest things, it's part of the human nature, is to fear the unknown, honestly.
Yep.
And autism and stuff like that is mostly an unknown to people like that, most people. And that's why we get pushed away and we get hurt and we get abused. Not actually abused, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So on and so forth. We get attacked well, because they don't understand. And we try to explain, but us being us and being the awkward ducklings that we are sometimes, we can't really verbalize it as well as we should, and that creates misunderstanding and missed opportunities, especially because I've missed so many opportunities, especially with females. Oh my gosh,
Mm.
I can go on that for days. But because they fear the unknown, and it's just one thing that we gotta figure out how to get across is that we're not what you think we are. You know,
Yeah.
we're not just children banging our heads against the corner of the wall or some stuff like that. You know.
Yeah. John, what does Robin Williams say to Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting?
It's not your fault.
Exactly.
It's
It,
not your fault.
it's it isn't. It really is not
No,
our fault.
it really is not. No,
Yeah.
it's not your fault. Uh, it's tricky because as you start to explain and become part of the tribe, you tend to fall into the trap of saying we, when it actually there is no we.
I mean,
It,
once you met a person
it,
with autism, you only met one. You know.
that's right. You've
Mm.
only met one, and then there's another. There is certainly stuff you can share and stuff you can get together on, but if you veer into stereotypes, you kind of lose yourself. You are a person, and you have this color hair, and you have this kind of brain, and this size of shoe, and so on. You're different from the other person.
You're an
You lose
individual.
that some. Yeah, you kind of lose that because you have to struggle so much with regard to the way the world accepts you or.
Yeah. Hey, listen, dude. I really appreciate the topics that you brought up, and it's like what you essentially the discussion that you brought here, it sort of reminded me of certain things, like what I just said there, referencing Goodwill Hunting. It's something that I need to tell myself more, is that it's not my fault. Especially when it comes to these people that I talk to in the YouTube comments, and whether it's with them or other people in the past where I've lost control of things. A lot of those times it was just due to factors out of my control, and there's nothing I can do, and it's just something that we have to learn to accept. So I thank you for making me more conscious of that problem, and I hope my realization of that will be impetus for other people that are listening to sort of give themselves that credit. So thank you so much for that. Anyways, unfortunately, dude, I'm sorry. Like, you've been a really great guest, but we do have to move on. Yeah, please, yeah, go ahead.
E3 did not suck that bad. Get over it.
It did suck that bad, but okay.
All right. And my final point, it's a old war thing. Until you know war advice, I guess you could say. Until you know your own boundaries and stuff, only then you can break through your own boundaries and stuff like that. So
Exactly.
just, catch you on the flip side. Maybe we could play some Battlefront sometime.
Dude,
we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, we will play Battlefront, dude. I love playing Battlefront back in the day, and I'd really like to get back to it. It's just I need a couple weeks, but remind me, and we will play. Okay.
Yep, and anybody out there in the Discord or whatever, you can talk to me. I don't care. Like, you can just DM me or something like that, and you can talk to me.
There you go.
Right? I will talk to you people. It might be awkward. I'm not gonna lie, but I will talk to people.
Hey, Dave Barker, maybe that'll be your first step forward. Anyways, thank you so much for that, Diamond. We got to move on. Now, before we do, though, obviously I recognize we're almost at the top of the hour, and John's going to have to go, even though we have one caller left. There's just a couple things that I need to do before we bring on that last caller. First of all, Joel Weiss sends in another $2. He says, just do it. Yep, just kick it like Nike or like Shia LaBeouf, whichever you prefer, and just do it. Don't let your memes be dreams. Anyways, let's... one other thing. I see there are 53 people watching right now, but there's only 29 likes. Hello, hit that like button. I already explained how much it helps us out. Just do what Joel Weiss just said, or Shia LaBeouf, or the entire corporate zombie slaves at Nike, and just do it. Sorry, that came out wrong, but you get the point. Anyways, let's move on to the final caller. And the final caller is, oddly enough, the person that gave us those 2 super chats, Joel Weiss. Did I pronounce your last name right?
No, it's Wiss, such as Swiss or Miss.
Oh, sorry, dude. Joel Weiss.
It's fine. I grew up dealing with that issue.
Yes.
It doesn't affect me.
A lot of people like to mispronounce my last name and say that it's Derrat, even though it's Derrat. Like, I dare.
I thought it was.
Oh, come on, John. How long have we known each other?
As long as any other rat.
Oh, I see how it is. Anyways, Joel Weiss, I'd like to introduce you to John Tucker. Very intelligent.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, what do you want to talk about, Joel?
Weird stuff happens to my name. It's okay.
Well, first off, with the understanding sarcasm, there are times where I don't understand it, but other times where I clearly do. For example, with you Canadian people, if I use the Michigan Yooper accent, John's last name is Tucker. And also, Canadians, that you guys eat hockey pucks, drink syrup. Also, you even bump into furnitures and you go, oh, sorry.
Yeah, all very
I see
true.
it all the time. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for bringing those up.
You're welcome. But yeah, right now I'm just counting the days till my girlfriend comes to visit.
Oh,
Yeah.
hold on. Does she know about this show?
No.
Are you gonna wife that up?
Yeah.
You the man.
Mm-hmm. So after I propose and she says yes, then I'm going to introduce the show so then she can actually hear all the shows that I was in, all like the episodes, and then she hears me talking about proposing.
Aw.
Yeah.
And how we were giving you all the pointers and how to best do it and all that.
Yeah.
And by the way, just shout out to Joel's girlfriend. Just want to let you know you can do better. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, he's gonna make a great husband. I promise.
Eh.
So
yeah.
that's sort of what's causing you the most stress right now.
Right now, just a lot of stuff is happening, especially at work. I am needing to run two machines where where the parts I'm running, they have very critical measurements where it's up to 1/1000th of an inch, where a human hair is generally 3/1000th of an inch.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, John. Were you about to say something?
No, no. I was just thinking I need a very small pick to knock that apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just real stressful because one part it's about I have to keep that measurement within 2 inches, where on the other part I have to keep that measurement within 30 inches.
Do you find yourself like losing track of that stuff? Like, has it happened where you mix things up and something bad happens?
Yeah, worst thing that has happened so far is a cutter exploding.
Oh. Like how? Like, what does that mean? Like, is that seriously bad? Is it just like a small mistake?
Depending on the cutter, luckily it was just a standard carbide. A massive chunk flew out and just hit my leg.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah, it just left a bruise.
Okay. So you'll still be able to get down on one knee, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure of that. Look, are you like, despite the problems that you might be having at work, are you sort of like still able to keep things in perspective? As much as I hate saying that, but you know what I mean. Just like, hey, you're gonna get married to the woman of your dreams soon. This is all for all this hard work is going to pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, hopefully it leads me to a raise.
Mm. Well, are you doing good work?
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm sure that you.
From like a couple months ago, I went from not knowing how to run a machine. Now I'm editing programs completely.
Oh, good. That's more than I could do.
Yeah.
I just complain about stuff for a living on YouTube. I mean, like, I do other stuff outside of that. John, come on, back me up here.
Yeah, it's true. You complain about stuff for.
Why, John? Why do I even? Okay. Anyways, Joel. What's sorry? Go on.
At least you're not like a couple miles from Detroit. So,
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, I mean, I am pretty close to Detroit, relatively speaking. I mean, like, Canada's right next to it. But I feel you there.
Also, Michigan is the only place in the world where in the U.S., you can go directly south.
True. Unless, you want to set up your own little private nation and go to war with the rest of the U.S. I don't know. That's such a weird thought to come to my mind. Sorry, it's been a long day. But yeah, anyways, yeah, unfortunately, dude, yeah, we are going a little bit overtime, so I'm just gonna have to ask you, like, if there's anything else that you wanted to say before we sort of sign off for the night.
Oh no, just have a good night, eh?
Thanks. You go back to your Shatner stealing, Golden Warrior sucking ways. I don't know. I don't know what the American stereotypes are beyond, the obvious one, which is obesity. But hey, it's not like Canada's any better in that department.
More like the American stereotype is more like crack open a cold beer, sit on the porch, and clean your shotgun.
True, and we don't get shotguns up here. We throw beavers at each other. Anyways, that'll do it for the call-in segment, guys. Joel, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope that you'll continue to provide us updates with with Operation Wife That Up.
Yeah, I'll be in the Discord for anyone who wants to talk.
There you go. Thank you so much for volunteering, dude. I'm so glad that we have people like you that are a part of our community. Anyways, I'm going to have to meet you, and we'll talk to you in the Discord server later. With that out of the way, I'm going to have to do some final things, as I usually do. Thank you so much to everybody that decided to join us for the live version of the show. And I don't know if my browser is just frozen, but ever since I told all you to like this stream... Oh, yeah, you did. You did. Okay, we're good. We're good. You guys are liking the stream, so I don't have to tell you again. As usual, I just want to remind you guys, if you want to ever send in a question about something that you're going through or somebody else is going through with mental health or autism, make sure to send in your questions by using... Hold on. This isn't working. There we go. By sending in your question to the email that you see on screen right now, which is maxderrat@yahoo.ca. And on most shows, we will have a mailbag section where we dip into our emails and try to respond to you guys one by one. We just didn't have one today because there were so many respondents to our putting out a call to people that want to come on as a part of the call-in segment. So yeah, just make sure you send it to that email that you see on screen right now. And also, if you want to support this show, there are two ways that you can do that. But before I tell you what that is, Rob Bell sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Rob Bell. He sends in $1.99, and he said, "Appreciate the part with bottom/outside hierarchy guy." Well, there you go. I hope that Dave is still in the call. So, see, dude, there are people out there that really want to help you out. Okay, you should take advantage of the opportunities as they come. And thank you again, Rob, for sending that in. Finally, I just wanted to say again, if you want to support the show, there are two ways you can do it. If you want to do it financially, there is a PayPal link in the description box below. We really appreciate anything that you guys can provide. We always put it back towards the show, making it bigger and trying to get the message out to people that might sincerely need help with their mental health problems. But I understand not everybody has the financial means, and that's fine. So if you do still want to help us out, the best thing that you guys can do is just take this video or any other video on my channel and just share it around. Even if it's something on my channel that's not related to mental health and autism, just by picking one of those videos and sharing it to somebody, they might be like, "Hey, I like this video. What else does this guy have?" And they'll come across a differently wired show. And maybe they might need it because they might be going through something, right? So if you just take this video link, put it in your social media, put it on your Facebook, your Twitter, I don't know, Okay, Cupid. I don't really care where you post the link. Just post it. We appreciate it. Just make sure it's for some savory people and not, I don't know, some thoughts. Anyways, that'll do it for this show. I want to thank John, as always, for providing his insight.
Thank you, Max.
What's with the thing that Hollow bring? Okay, anyways, that's just in the Discord chat. Until next time, guys, I just want to thank you again for watching the show live, those that watch us live. And until next Wednesday when we do this again, stay yellow.